I think I'll keep using this till to business expense. Yeah, that's a good idea. Turns out, he had the money. This isn't my story. It's the story of my late grandfather. No TLDR. If you want to know the story, read it. My grandmother recently told me the story about how my grandfather got his blue pickup truck from some idiot salesman. My grandfather, whose name will be Chuck, always dressed like he was low on money, ripped up shirts and jackets, cause it's cheaper than buying new shirts. But Chuck actually had quite a bit of money from some stocks he invested in. Anyways, on to the story. Chuck's car recently broke down and he needed a new one. My grandmother always liked a blue pickup from the local dealers, so he decided to buy it. Chuck loved to haggle for a good deal, and this time was no different. The car, $1,800, and the salesman, who we'll call Jack, doesn't even think Chuck has made that much in his life, based on his appearance. So, while they negotiate, Chuck says, "Chuck, I'll give you $9,000 today." "Chuck, if you can get me $9,000 by sundown, the car is yours." And with that, they shook on it, and Chuck went to the bank, where he wrote up a check for $9,000. And an hour later, he walked up to the dealer with a crap-eating grin on his face when he set the check down and asked, "Where's the keys?" Jack tried to argue that there was no contract, but when Chuck called Jack's boss, Bob, the conversation went as followed. Bob: "Jack, did you agree to the terms?" Jack: I didn't think he'd actually get it." Bob: "Did you agree or not?" Jack: "I did." Bob: "Then give him the effing car, then pack your things. You're fired." Chuck drove off with his truck, and the dealer is there to this day. I'm gonna get my first car from there soon, although I don't think I'll get the same deal, sadly. No vacation? Malicious compliance with IT policy. My father had a job as a mainframe operator for a company that has contracts doing work for state governments, involving a lot of data processing. His job involved babysitting a group of servers and rebooting them when the monitoring software said they hung, occasional minor programming, and annually talking to the auditor, the state whose contract he worked on sent in. The auditor loved him because he always ensured they had detailed records ready. Also, the contract specified that absolutely everyone on the contract had to be a US citizen, and the auditor always demanded names and social security numbers. He had about 5 years to go to retirement. In 2 years, he would be eligible to retire. 5 until he maxed out on his benefits. They really desperately needed someone to take the night shift, so he took it. He would be allowed to work from home full time, and he would be retiring soon anyway. And he would save a young married family person coworker from having to do it. Every fall, he and I have a week's vacation together in Disney World because he owns a timeshare there. One year, almost 3 years into the 5, he showed up looking kinda steamed. So after we checked in, I asked him to spill the beans. It seems that his company has decided to sell off the division, and they were purchased by an outsourcing company in India just the week before. The new company told him he'd have to attend some mandatory meetings during our vacation. When he explained that he had a vacation booked for that time and therefore would be unable to attend the meetings, they said, "No you don't. Your vacation time was accrued with your old company, and they approved the vacation time. You have no accrued vacation time with us, so if you want to take the time, it'll be unpaid and will note in your HR record that you demanded time off without approval." He and I already had a few $1,000s sunk into the vacation, so he said okay and took it unpaid. When he got home, he immediately looked it up and figured if he retired in a few months instead of waiting 2 more years, he would get about $50 a month less money. He decided that the money was worth it to him, so he started the process. The new employer instantly hired temps from India to work on the contract. My father pointed out to them that he was responsible for proving to the auditor that only US citizens in the US were working on the project. So the company flew them out to the US. He pointed out to the employer that they still weren't US citizens. They shrugged, and he figured out that he would be retired before the auditor came around again, so they could deal with losing the contract after he left. He printed copies of his emails to them saying, "You can't do that or you'll lose the contract." And their emails to him saying they didn't care what he said. He kept the prints to cover his behind. Meanwhile, the new company announced that he had to have a cell phone. The old employer had skipped that because everybody knew that cell phones don't work at his house. No coverage for any carrier. But the new company had a hard-on about it. He had to spend hours doing paperwork about it, and they sent him one. It didn't work as expected, so they demanded he bring it into the office in person, which ate a couple days of his work time because he had to get to a day schedule, then spent a day driving it in, then go back to a night schedule. When he drove it in, IT looked at it, and of course they found nothing wrong because there was cell coverage at the office. So IT took that one and they sent him another one. Lather, rinse, repeat. Then he had to get back onto a day schedule for them to send him a technician around to determine where at his house there was an acceptable signal so they can install a booster. This took several days of work time, and of course, the tech was amazed that there wasn't any place at his house with any signal at all. They finally sent him a third phone, and he put it in a Ziploc bag and put it aside. Dad had a Windows XP laptop for work, and the current version was Windows 7. He's not an "I refuse to upgrade" person. The problem was that the company refused to pay for upgrades to the monitoring software for the mainframe, and the version they had would only run on XP. The IT department for the new company really wanted everyone on 7 and off of XP. He and all his coworkers refused. However, since they all worked at the office, they'd come in one morning and find they had a shiny new computer which wouldn't run any of their software. So there was an entire staff of IT professionals getting paid a salary to twiddle their thumbs. My dad wasn't there, so IT couldn't get their hands on his laptop, and he became the only person who could tell what the servers were doing. IT got increasingly nasty about it until they finally cut him off the network entirely, and he had to get his boss to intervene. The time came for him to retire. IT had been nagging him several times a day to make an appointment with them on retiring day to give them his laptop and the unused cell phone. He had to have a goodbye meeting with his boss anyway, so he was going in instead of mailing things. When the day rolled around, he went in, and IT met him first and took the laptop to be wiped and disposed of. Then he met with his boss. They chatted for a while. Then it occurred to the boss that the laptop kinda mattered because it was literally the only computer left in the company which they could run the virtual monitoring software. My dad said, "Oh, IT took it from me an hour ago to wipe it." The boss actually screamed, "No!" and ran out of the room. My dad waited a while and left. He never saw the boss again. Some parking fines? Fine. Some parking. This was a year or two ago. The house I was living in has a garage, but has been converted to a workshop, so I always had to park on the street. I got a letter from the council to say they were going to be doing road resurfacing for all the streets in the area, and all cars had to be off the road so they could replace all the bitumen. The problem was that they did not say which streets or in what order they were going to be doing them. So me trying to be considerate, I moved my car off the road and parked in my old driveway between the road and the footpath. I made sure I was not blocking the footpath or on the grass nature strip. The very next day, I noticed a parking ticket on my car. The reason printed on the fine was vague, mentioning obstruction of access, so I rang the council. The conversation went as follows. Me. Hi. I received a parking fine that I don't think is valid. Can I get some more information about the road rule violation so I can contest it and have it canceled? Councilperson. Your car was in the way. It should have been parked on the road. Me. I moved off the street as per your request to clear the road, and I only parked in my driveway so that I wasn't on the bitumen, as you hadn't given any indication on which roads were going to be resurfaced. Councilperson. Then you should have been on a different road. Me. Which one? I don't want to be in the way while you are resurfacing. Council. Are you dumb? If we are working on your street, maybe you should park on Smith Street. So, that's exactly what I did. Apparently, that's also what the other 3 people did who also got tickets. Now Smith Street has 3 patches of old bitumen, where the council workers had to carefully resurface around the cars that were parked exactly where we were told. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the stories. Now let's head on over to the bonus. Tennessee man accused of dipping testicles in customer's salsa before online delivery. You a mega hoe if you can taste a hint of ball sack in some Mexican food. Let me just 40-year-old Caucasian recently divorced. I'd know that taste anywhere. Welcome ladies and gents to r/curse comments. Let's get in the bonus. The way anime girls act about each other's boobs. But it's guys and their huge fat nuts. Bro, your balls are so big. I'm so jealous. Gets behind and starts fondling them. Kya? Those are sensitive, bro. They flop all over the place. Dude in the corner with tiny nuts looks down in shame. Oh, well at least the salsa at work still loves me. When your teacher catches you watching student-teacher porn and asks you to stay after class. Gentlemen, the time has come. I'm homeschooled by my older sister. I mean, all I see is that you're combining 2 different wonderful subgenres. I'll let the Hulk take it away from here.
I see this as an absolute win.
That must be one killer channel. Hey Marina, I wanted to let you know that I've struggled living with depression for the last 6 years or so of my life. It's hard for me to even get out of bed some mornings. Thankfully, I've come across your channel recently and finally decided to kill myself. Thanks. Damn, she just took trolling to a whole new level. I can't even imagine how crushed she must have been. If you call condoms meat belts, then before sex with a penis person, you can say, fasten your meat belts, and everyone will have a good laugh. My kids always laugh when I say this. Cue the Alabama music. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today. I hope you enjoyed the stories, and if you did, make sure you subscribe. Also, consider swinging by the Discord and come say hi. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.